18? Mr. Tui.
Elementary nurse salary going up 31%.
Elementary nurses, you group those together, right?
Yeah, there's 3 nurses there.
We didn't have a nurse, excuse me, in Templeton Center.
Right, so the problem, that original 125 didn't include that full-time nurse in Templeton Center that we needed because there was a child there that needed a nurse in the building all the time. Thank you.
Mr. Tui, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Page 19. Your children in crisis item with a 50% cut, that's being handled under a different line item?
No, we actually, our homeless transportation went down quite a bit this year. Last year, it was substantially higher. It was 32,000, but we didn't need to transport that child again this year. And then we based it, we looked at, it'll be tight at the newer number, but it's closer to the 10,000 figure than the 20,000 figure we're projecting for next year.
So you're running pretty close with that. If a student comes in, then you're in a different situation.
Correct.
Thank you. McKinney-Vento doesn't cover transportation?
No, it's, since the state bought into the federal guidelines, we're obligated to actually do it, but we don't get reimbursed for it. That was what happened last year when they found that that was an unfunded mandate and they're supposed to fund it. I don't believe they fully funded it in anybody's budget, House or Senate or Governor this year. I do anticipate that we'll get back close to $30,000 from prior year, but it's going to be just like every other circuit breaker and regional transportation. They're really not going to end up giving us the money that we put out for these services.
Thank you. Page 20. How many high school football coaches do we have?
I don't know. Sean, do you know the answer to that question?
I don't know the specific number, but I know that they have shared stipends. So if there's a stipend for an assistant, if they wanted 2 people, that they would have the stipends. So I want to say maybe 4, but there could be 6 total. But I know that they've shared
I was going to
stipends.
say 5, the head football coach, 4 people that split to assistants, and then a volunteer. We do have volunteers as well. So
Right.
it seems like a lot of people on the field. Many of them are volunteers.
Thank you.
Middle school coaches, under the high school coach salary line? It's not in middle school coaches.
They have to be.
The question, if you didn't hear it, is the middle school officials has a 0 in their salary line.
Coaches.
And those officials.
And the coaches too, so that was
So
the
they
question.
have to be under that. We don't have middle school coaches line.
There's one on page before it says zero.
The page before it says 0.
Page 19. First one. Second one.
I think the new athletic director probably put them all in these lines, because I think that's where they've all been drawn from over the last, I think that was past practice.
Just making sure they're not cut out of
No, I'm sure the football, it's not.
Would we like to have some delineation between the high school amounts and middle school?
I personally don't care, I just want to make sure the middle school.
Just
coaches
make
aren't
sure
cut
that
out.
they're. Thank you. Any further questions on this page? The athletic conference dues and travel. It's down in, athletic transport's down in one and up in the other. Is that the difference? This will be on page 20.
Right. What happened before was, with these accounts, it's really hard to look at it this way, and I think when Mark gave the presentation, what we did before was, they were taking money out, directly out of the revolving account, so it wasn't really projected on the budget, because we, instead of transferring from the revolving account into the budget, so these are really much more accurate figures that we have in this year's budget, because if you look and you try to compare it to prior years, it's really hard to do unless you look at the revolving account at the same time. And then we stopped that practice of having it come out of the revolving and having a transfer made from the revolving, so that you would always see exactly where the money was coming from or what the use was for.
Page 21. Questions? We seem to be doing very little supply ordering for
Correct.
custodians. That was a comment, sorry. It wasn't really good. Any other comments on that? Page 22. We have 30, we're on 22.
These are really out of our control for the utilities.
So we projected negative numbers on fuel oil. Have you
Well, that was
looked at price?
because the roof project, we really did see a savings in our fuel this year. We waited 2 years to see if it was really gonna work, but that wonderful roof they put on really has saved us in fuel costs.
Excellent. Have you locked in a price for this coming year?
We locked in a price quite a while ago.
People probably don't want to know what it is because it's lower than they'll ever see, but because you get it as a group.
Right, we get it.
It's a
big
state
roof.
bid.
I don't remember, I want to say 317, 320, something like that. It's still pretty, it's comparable to what we had last year.
Page
We
20,
did it early.
page 23. Can't do much about rubbish removal. Question? Mr. Mason?
Glad to see some
Mr. Tui?
not the summaries.
No. Okay.
Not the summer.
Yeah, we're glad to see some maintenance. I guess the middle school building maintenance is up on all the others is 0. Is that, how do we?
Full name.
On page 23,
23, the bottom.
second to the last count.
Bill's got some projects in the middle school.
I don't know what the project is, I'm trying to think what the big project would be in the middle school this year.
Like the doors and stuff.
Oh, those doors, replacing those doors from the exterior and having those swipes put on. He has a list of maintenance things he's doing this summer, because the last few summers, we've done some big projects. And this summer, he's really looking at doing the maintenance work, that we need to get done.
Dan, did you have a comment? Mr.
Well, I was going to say, we did the gym, we did the cafeteria, quite a bit of work was done.
Right, and so it's on that priority list.
The elevators for the high school, not the middle school, the last item.
It must be the middle school. I mean,
High school.
yeah. And that 47, that, you know, for the building maintenance in the middle school might be where you put all the maintenance, you know, although,
Actually, we have one by the gym. Elevator.
In the middle school?
we haven't had 2 elevators?
Go up to the girls' line.
Yes.
I had no idea. I've been here 5 years, 4 years, and we have another elevator?
It's a small one.
It has issues with functionality at times.
I didn't know that. I would have thought that was a story, like, you knew, food on me.
I'm old, and I didn't know.
You didn't know that was you worked there.
I know.
Hey, I see your hand, but I'm going to ask you to hold your question until the committee is done going through these pages. We're on page 23, it'll be page 30, you have one in front of you. So if you just mark that, and then we'll take discussion at the end. Thank you. On page, so we discovered we do have 2 elevators.
Good to know.
We do not have a swimming pool,
No.
but we do have 2 elevators. There's much public need for elevators today. So page 23 is 24. Not much we can say about that. Anybody? 25?
Same thing.
These maintenance of equipment that are funded at 0 or very little money, do you have a lease on those so that they stay updated? I'm looking at all those, central office, middle school, high school, Phillipston, Templeton, maintenance of equipment.
Yeah, we just actually did a huge swap out. We took every copy machine out of the entire district, and we bought some off the bid list, and we got a tremendous price. We went down, we actually reduced the copiers by 2. We increased the capacity of the copy machines were not going to last the life of their lease. And so we reduced our costs, increased the number of copies, and the maintenance is included, plus we have almost 2 years' worth of supplies to run them based on our usage. So these are older copy machines, so we just swapped out, we see, I think,
Yes, page 26, that's good use of.
and I think it would be an acquisition of equipment or lease of equipment is where you'll see those copy machines.
Page 26. Questions? $27. These are pretty much things we can't control.
Correct.
28. Oh, here's your leasing of your equipment that you talked about.
These are all the copy machines.
Great. 29. It's a bunch to say. Acquisition of equipment in science. Science, do we know what level? Just says science.
Science.
Must be secondary, it's in the group with the secondary.
Yes.
30. Page 30. Comments? Again, pretty much state mandated page.
Yes.
Do we have any questions on the total budget, which the amount of the total budget for these pages was 18,523,943.61. We round that up to say 8,523,944. 18 million, thanks. 523,943. Are there questions on that?
Madam Chairman.
First, I have a question from the audience.
Well, I have several questions, actually. This final amount, the $18,523,000, does that include the override that people will be voting on July 25th?
Yes, this is the approved FY14 budget.
Okay, I mean, I know it was voted on, at the annual town meeting, but I didn't know whether, because it hadn't gone to ballot, whether you would actually include it.
Oh, no, we are working on what we certified as an FY14 budget, which would include the override amount, yes.
Okay, thank
That
you.
is the quest we have tonight.
Okay. And the other, two other questions, your budget for science equipment has gone up significantly, but also the line for maintenance of science equipment has gone up significantly.
By significantly, what line are you citing?
It's
What is significant, please? Because none of these items are significant unless they were rearranged.
Sean, can Sean answer? Sean can speak
First,
exactly what.
Sure, but first I need to know what she's referring to as significant and what line item.
Oh, here's the other question that I had.
Well, can we stick with the science one?
Well, it's just that I happen to find my other question.
All right, Mr. Mason is trying to help you by saying page 29. Is that the page you're looking
Well,
at?
there was one that went from 1,000 to 3,000, which seems to me significant.
1,000 to 2,000. Maintenance of, we're on page 26, maintenance of high school, oh, that's music though, not science.
Oh,
High
okay,
school
well, I
music.
don't have a question about that. Acquisition of science equipment has gone up by 66 and 5,300%.
What page are you on?
29.
That's on page 29.
That's
That's acquisition of equipment for science. And
Okay.
then there was one for maintenance.
Okay, let's talk about the science one now. We've, Ms. Miller asked the high school principal, Ms. Rickon, to answer that question.
Sean, it went from $4,000 up to $6,661. It's the acquisition of science equipment line.
I believe that a lot of the things that were purchased through the MIMSI grant were purchased previously, and we are no longer have them in the MIMSI grant at this particular time.
So what's the name of the grant, please?
MMSI,
That's the AP program.
Mathematics and Science Initiative.
Thank you, Ms. Rickon.
That's
Thank you. And
Just for the record, it's went up from 4,660.
Yes, that is important, from 4,000 to 661.
well, that's more than 50%. That seems.
And that's because of that grant.
Yeah,
No,
no,
thank
that's fine.
And do you have the other question you had, or?
Well, I had, there was one question on, maintenance, on page 26, maintenance of science equipment has gone up by 46%, 46%.
And that represents $600.
Yeah. Well, when you've gone from 1,500 to, well, it's another 700, I think.
Right, this is maintenance of science equipment.
For all the new equipment we got last year, that's $6,000 worth.
And we have to maintain equipment once you have it. Is that the answer to that? The maintenance of equipment that was first?
Yeah, but again, 46% is pretty high. And then my final question was on, well, rubbish removal, I guess. Do you do any recycling in the district? Oh, okay. So,
Ms. Miller could address that. With the
Mr.
update.
Claiborne does an amazing job with recycling. In fact, I think that the whole dumpster that we get for the recycling program, he gets for free and has it rolled in with the rest of it. So he has really been on top of that for many, many years.
I will definitely give him credit. Great job.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Yes. That's the point I wanted to make, that what looks like a significant increase would be a matter of going from 3,000 to 4,000. When that is a percentage of increase, that was on maintenance of equipment, so those are the numbers. Are there any other questions? Any comments from the committee? Yes, Mr. Sandin.
Thank the superintendent for bringing in this spreadsheet for us tonight. Years ago, on the budget subcommittee, we used to use these spreadsheets. And I think they were helpful for people to understand where the money went. And I think maybe when we have our budget subcommittee meetings in the winter, we should go back and use these. It might be a good tool.
Yes. This is the new system that your office is now functioning with, the meals.
Correct. We used to get Excel spreadsheets. The only thing we don't particularly like about this format, and we're going to work on trying to get it for budget season, Mr. Sandin, is the summary lines, so you can see what, like, all the teachers' cost as a total. But, so the summary lines I thought were really helpful, and this budget doesn't have those. And so we're going to try to get the same type of printout, but with a summary line for you.
Well,
It's just the total budget increase from last year is just
1.98%. Did you want me to review this that someone had asked for?
yes, we had a public request, and then the committee, I believe, a member of the committee asked for that information to go back further in the year. So, Ms. Miller, would you explain this chart?
So, and I do have extras if people want them, but we went back to FY10 and we looked at the salary lines because someone asked what personnel we've lost over this time. And we had lost significant paraprofessionals between FY11 and FY12. But we actually only, in a 4-year period of time, have a net loss of 1 paraprofessional. And that is primarily because this last year, we had significant need for one-on-one paraprofessionals for students in our preschool, but also other students moving into the district. So we had to, I think, hire back 5 or 6 right at the beginning of school last year. And so that's why this number isn't significantly lower, is because the need is there for the paraprofessionals. These are kindergarten paraprofessionals, one-on-one paraprofessional predominantly, and yeah, in the high school they do grade level, but it's in one-on-one paraprofessionals.
Thank you. Mr. Mason, do you have a
I was
question?
just going to say, the one-on-ones are optional, those are the ones we're required to have.
They're written into the students' IEPs, yes. So, and even the kindergarten really aren't optional. Actually, none of them are. Really, we don't have any paraprofessionals that would be like a regular, like grade 2 or grade 3 paraprofessional that would help the teachers out. In years past, we would have those, especially when our class sizes are getting up close to 27. You would need that extra person. We don't have any of those in this budget. Most alarming is that in FY10, we had 126 teachers, And we project to have 109 teachers. And don't forget, that's adding back 4 teachers. So if we didn't have the retirements and able to replace the retirements, plus add the new kindergarten teacher and add back the math teachers at the middle school, that would be significantly less. That would be, if we didn't replace those teachers, we'd be close to 100. So that would be 26 teachers if we cut more. But right now, we're down 17 teachers, even with this current budget the way it is.
Are most of them from the middle school teachers?
No, middle school,
And elementary?
elementary school, and we cut a lot of programs at the high school. We've cut, 2 or 3 programs at the high school. They're now, the high school and middle school are going to be sharing teachers next year. Quite a few of them. We're going to have to go back and forth, so it's really not an ideal situation.
Just
And, any other questions?
Yeah, I'm sorry, a question that you probably could only ask without numbers, though, the enrollment. The enrollment, total district enrollment from FY10 to 13 with those drop in teachers, has there been a significant drop in enrollment?
There's been a drop in enrollment of about 100 students per year, but it's coming back. It's now hit, and we're starting to see that enrollment climb. I gave you the increased enrollment last year just from, March to the end of the year. We're seeing lots of families with 2 or 3 kids move back into town.
But your statement to go from 126 teacher in FY10 to 109 in FY13, you haven't had a significant drop in student enrollment to
No.
justify that.
No, at the high school, we're right about the same. We've been about 438, 439 all along. The middle school's about the same. We've had a bit of a drop in the middle school, although this past year, we had a lot of students come back from Holy Rosary and some other schools back into district. And our elementary population dropped, which is why we combined the grades, but now we're finding that our class sizes are getting way too big. And starting with the preschool and kindergarten coming in this next year, if we have 3 teachers, the class size will be 26 and 27 per kindergarten. If we add the 4th kindergarten teacher, we'll still be at 18 students per kindergarten class, and 20 is the max that you ever want. So it's not like we're going to have unusually low numbers even with adding that kindergarten. And that's just going to roll up into the next year in 1st grade.
And yet we haven't hit the summer months where you get the enrollment.
Correct. So our nurses are up, and again, it's because of the needs of the students. We have tremendous amount of needs in every single building for registered nurses. I don't think that we will ever be in a position again where we can share a nurse between buildings because the significant medical needs in every single building. The CAF, it shows that we went down 1, which is a bit deceiving because every single one of those cafeteria workers has lost significant hours. Many of them are only working 3 hours a day now. So that's been significant. Custodians, we've maintained, but that's been because there was a concern from the community and from the committee about really stepping up and starting to maintain the buildings and taking care of the things that are. And so we have not cut back on our custodial staff. Secretaries, we've lost 2.5 secretarial positions. And the central office, we've lost 2 positions, one of those being an administrator that was over 100,000. So we've had significant personnel cuts in the past 4 years.
Thank you. Questions from the committee, the audience?
I have just one
Yeah.
related to the personnel numbers. I noticed that some of, I noticed that some of our positions that were anticipated for next year, we had already posted. Now, what happens with those positions, say if the budget doesn't pass on June 25th, but we've already posted them, we've already interviewed?
We've posted, we've interviewed, but the posting has, depending on funding availability.
And we have retirement, imagine we have retirements that have to be filled.
Yes, I mean,
So
we
some
have
of
a
those
first grade, yeah.
were retirements as well.
I would say that we really have to fill all the positions, because kindergarten's new, we desperately need that. Guidance counselor at the elementary school, another one, we have significant social needs down there, family concerns, really one person doing 3 buildings. We've gotten to the point, as you can see over the last 4 years, we really can't go cut any deeper, in my opinion. We really can't cut any deeper in our personnel. We don't have supplies, but, you know, we really do need the people.
Okay, comments? Any motions? Getting ready to make a motion on this budget? We've had a request to have Ms. Miller explain why we are here recertifying the FY14, why we took the time to look at the items and maybe move them up or down if we thought so, why this is happening tonight.
Okay, so because we're a regional district and we're comprised of 2 towns, there's a process. The process is followed by the committee, forming a subcommittee that has selectors from both towns, FinCom people from both towns, and school committee members who thoughtfully go through line by the budget and hear the presentations of all the staff. That budget is, we then have 2 budget hearings so that we can have input from community members, which we held 2 public hearings. And based on that input and the information, the school committee then voted and certified our FY14 budget. At that point, our treasurer sends the certified budget to both Templeton and Phillipston, and it's their responsibility to present your budget on town meeting floor. When they present, they're supposed to present the dollar amount that you have asked for, and they're supposed to vote it up or down, yes or no. That, in Phillipston, when they went to their town meeting, they voted the dollar amount up by adjusting other lines in their budgets. When Templeton looked at the budget, they put forward to the town meeting a dollar amount that was different than the dollar amount that the school committee had certified. So the town meeting floor ultimately voted for that budget and voted to vote for an override. But that is still a no vote because they did not vote for the budget that you put forward to them. They did not fund it. So when in a 2-town region, when one town does not vote for it, we don't have agreed upon budget, at which time it comes back to the school committee to look at. And the schools committee charge is they can vote a higher budget, they can vote a lower budget, they can vote the same budget, but it's for you to take a look at what you put forward, what the town's response was, and now tonight it's up to you to recertify that budget, and then we will have 7 days to send the recertified budget back to both towns. At that point, the towns will have 45 days to act on that budget. If they don't act on the budget in 45 days, then it becomes, we get our certified budget. If they act on it and still do not pass the dollar amount that you certified, it then comes once again back to you as a committee, and at that point, you can decide whether you accept a lower amount or you recertify at the same amount. And if you choose to recertify at the same amount, it then goes to a joint town meeting. So it's a very long process. It goes back and forth. But we're at the stage where Templeton voted down your budget. And so therefore, you have to